I understand why I think it is balanced, because I think, in fact, it depends on the role you give to the science policy advisor. If he or she is clearly a missing link between scientific expertise and decision maker, if the role is clearly limited to explaining the process, to organizing an opinion strategy on various subjects, so not necessarily you not need to be a peer-recognized expert, even if better, because you are there not to provide the answers, but to ask the right questions. But in many non-Anglo-Saxon countries, such as France or Belgium, this function does not exist as such, and the politician questions the scientific expert directly. And in this case, yes, he or she must be recognized by peers. And let me illustrate this with a concrete example recently experienced in Belgium. In the context of the COVID crisis and the debates on vaccination, the Health Committee of the Chamber of Representatives at the Federal Parliament auditioned a specialist in virology at the request of one of the political parties. And the guy presented himself as a doctor of science, a specialist in virology with professional experience in the development of vaccines. And a couple of days after, more than 50 renowned Belgian researchers wrote and signed a carte blanche in one of Belgium's most visible newspapers. And the concern stemmed from the fact that this person, who had presented himself as an expert, was not a peer-reviewed scientific expert. His curriculum vitae did not indicate any significant or accessible academic, biotechnological, or pharmaceutical scientific contribution in the field of human medicine, vaccines, immunology, virology, or public health. And this was evidenced by the almost total absence of recent publications over the last 5 years, as listed in PubMed. So the researchers concluded that these parameters were sufficient to invalidate his status as an expert, and that the status of scientific expert cannot be acquired by simple self-proclamation, especially if this status justifies the submission of an opinion to the highest legislative body of a democratic state. Of course, a parliament can hear opinions based on reasoning other than science, but parliamentarians cannot be fooled when these opinions are dishonestly presented as scientific expertise. So finally, those researchers gave some advice. They recommended it should be publicly clarified in what capacity any person heard gives an opinion or advice. And if this capacity is that of a scientific expert, they propose that the expert status be systematically validated by at least 2 scientific bodies, such as the Academy of Science or the Academy of Medicine or the Research Funding Agency. This was my advice.